Welcome students. In today's lecture, we will be discussing the analysis that we perform on the class interval summarized data. Just to give a brief review of the things, earlier we had this data set which is given over here from 118 to 154 as you can see, and we had summarized this data in the form of a class interval summarization table, and the table that we obtained was this. If you want to have the idea that how we obtained this table, we can refer to the video lecture in which we learned this thing, that how this interval summarization is done. In today's lecture, we will see how we do the analysis on the dataset that is available to us. We'll start our discussion with the quartiles. So firstly, we will see how we basically find the quartile values. Now the interesting thing is this, that whether we are working with quartiles, percentiles or deciles, they have a very similar way of calculations. The first thing comes first, that is we have to find the location of the quartile, percentile or decile, and secondly we have to find their values, right? But the procedure is little bit slightly different and the formula is way much different as we do it for the ungrouped data statistics. The class boundary in which the required quartile is present is called the quartile group, and the class boundary in which the required percentile is present is basically called the percentile group, and the class boundary in which the required decile is present is basically called the decile group. Now, location or the class boundary for the quartile group is given by this formulation. As we can now see, I'm highlighting it over here. The at the rate symbol I prefer to use because it shows the location, not the quartile value. And the quartile location is given by Qi is equals to I upon 4 multiplied by capital N. In this equation, I is basically the index number, which can be having values 1, 2 or 3, indicating quartile 1, quartile 2 or quartile 3. Capital N is the size of the data set. That is the total number of values that are present in the data set, or you can also say it's the total number of frequencies that we have in the data set. And the dividing factor is 4 because we are finding the quartiles. This equation is different for the location equation for the quartiles in the ungrouped data statistics. In that equation, we used to multiply I upon 4 with n plus 1. So the plus 1 factor has been cut off from this equation, because normally what we do is we normally do this class interval summarizations of large data sets. This one is very small, just for the understanding, but normally we do it for large data sets, and so the plus 1 factor does not actually affect our results. So we can obtain an approximately close enough accurate location using the n multiplication factor rather than n plus 1. So we should note this difference. Now I would like to explain the similar thing for the percentiles and deciles as well, because they have the similar equation. The equation for the percentile group is given by I upon 100 into capital N, where I can have values from 1 to 100, sorry, 1 to 99, because in all we can have total 99 percentiles, and 100 is the dividing factor, and capital N is again the dataset size. Likewise, the class boundary in which the required decile is present is called the decile group, and the location for the decile is given by I upon 10 into capital N, right? Again, the I value is the index number that can have values ranging from 1 to 9, because we know this thing that in all we can have total 9 deciles, and the dividing factor is 10 because we are finding the deciles. Decile means dividing the data set into 10 equal parts. Now let's move on to the formulation of finding the values. So the quartile value can be found using this equation. Let me just put the I factor over here because I want to first discuss this thing in general, then we will find any particular quartile value. So quartile I, that is any quartile 1, 2 or 3, is equals to lower value of the quartile group uh, boundary. This basically means the class boundary in which the quartile group is found, and that we would determine using the earlier equation, which is I upon 4 into capital N. We'll just see how we do this thing. Plus small h, remember small h is a symbol which we use for the class height, divided by frequency of the quartile group multiplied by I upon 4 into N minus cumulative frequency preceding the quartile group. That means the cumulative frequency. This is the cumulative frequency column. If you can remember this thing, recall this thing. So the cumulative frequency that is prior to the required quartile group is basically put over here. A very similar equation is used for the percentiles. The lower value of percentile group boundary plus class height upon frequency of the percentile group multiplied by I upon 100 into n minus cumulative frequency preceding of the percentile group. And a very similar equation is used for the deciles, which is the lower value of the decile group boundary plus h upon frequency of the decile group multiplied by I upon 10 into n minus cumulative frequency preceding of the decile group. So this equation that we use over here. All of these three equations, we are not driving it. We are not driving them. Rather, we will just see, we'll just learn this thing that how to use these equations. Okay. So let's move on to the example and see how this is done. I would like to implement this thing over here, and then later on we'll see with other examples that how we do it. So let's take a very quick example. Suppose I want to find the quartile 1 value, right? I want to find the quartile 1 value. So I change I with 1 over here, and again over here I with 1, and capital N I replace with 17, because remember the total frequencies in our data set was basically equals to 17. So what does it come out to be? Using our calculators, we can simply do this calculation that 17 upon 4 is basically 4.25. That simply means this thing, that 4.25th location is the location of the quartile group. That means the class boundary in which the required quartile present is the quartile group, and the quartile group must be located for the 4.25th location. Now, what does it mean? We move on to the class interval table over here, and we will be using this cumulative frequency column to understand this thing. Now, the idea is this, that we want to have the location of the 4.25th value. And over here, we can see that till fourth value of our data set, we were in the class 1, or the boundary class boundary given for the class 1. But till 10th value of the data set, I mean greater than 4 and less than or equals to 10, we are in the class 2, and that will include the class boundary of this class. So our value is 4.25, which is greater than 4 and less than 10. So this means that this class or this group is the required quartile group. This class boundary is the required quartile group class boundary. This class, second class, which I am highlighting, is the required class for the quartile group. Again, this class boundary which I am highlighting is the required class boundary for the quartile group. Which quartile group? That contains the quartile 1 value. Now let's see how we are going to use this equation. The lower value of the quartile group boundary. This is the first thing. Since we have determined that second class or the second class interval basically includes this lower value of the class boundary, so which is 125.5. So we replace, firstly we replace this I with 1. So instead of I, we put the value 1, indicating that we want to find the quartile 1 value. And the lower value of the quartile group boundary is basically 125.5, as we just saw in the table. The class height, over here we can see that the class height, the vertical distance between the values of the two corresponding or consecutive classes is 8. We had earlier determined this thing as well. So this is 8 over here. So we replace h with 8. And the frequency of this quartile group, the frequency of this quartile group is basically 6, because it is in the second class, or the second class interval. So we replace this frequency of the quartile group with the numeric value which is 6. So let's just do this thing. We replace it with 6. Then I upon 4 into capital N. We have just determined this thing that I would be replaced by 1, and 1 upon 4 into 17 is 4.25. So we replace this whole factor with the numeric value which is 4.25. So it is 4.25, and the cumulative frequency preceding of quartile group. Now our quartile group is this one, which is the second class, and the cumulative frequency prior or preceding means coming before. So preceding this is 4. So we will replace this this factor of cumulative frequency preceding of the quartile group with the value which is equals to 4. So we replace this one with 4. So what do we get over here? Now this is a factor which is 4.25 minus 4 which is 0.25. This thing multiplied by 8 and then divided by 6 gives a value which is 0.333, and then this is added to 125.5 gives a value which is 125.83. So we get a value which is 125.83, and this becomes our Q1 or quartile 1 value. I hope this is understandable to everybody. A similar set of equations can be, sorry, a similar set of calculations can be done for the other quartiles, deciles, and percentiles. So let's see this thing that how we do it. I'm quickly moving on to the slide where we have done this calculation. Later on, you can see, you can study on your own as well. So we just calculated this quartile 1 value, and similarly, we can do the calculations for quartile 2, which is 2 upon 4 into 17, giving us a location which is 8.5, and then using this location we determined the class boundary which contains this 8.5 location. So if you move on to the table that we just saw, so 8.5 is located where? Again, we can see that 8.5 is located in the second class. Okay, so second class contains this quartile 2 value, and the second class again has the lower value class boundary which is 125.5, and then we have the cumulative frequency preceding to this group is again 4. The frequency of this group is 6. So we can do the calculations now. Moving on to the slide for the Q2, and here we have, so this becomes 125.5 plus 8 upon 6 into 8.5 minus 4. I mean the same values that we used previously, just the factor 2 upon 4 into 17 is changed. And when we do this calculation, we get a value which is 131.5. So I hope this is understandable. A similar calculations can be done. A similar calculation can be done for the Q3 value as well. I would be replaced by 3 divided by 4 into 17 gives a location which is 12.75. That simply means that 12.75th value is to be located. And where is this value? We will again move back to our class interval table, and we can see this thing using the cumulative frequency column that till 10th value we are in the second class interval, but till 13th value we are in the third class interval, and our value was 12.75. So that means that 12.75 would be located in the third class interval, as we can see this thing over here. And this class interval has a frequency 3, a lower value of the class boundary which is 133.5, and the cumulative frequency preceding to this quartile group, I mean this is our quartile group, is basically 10. So let's do these calculations, and I've done these calculations for you. So we get 133.5 as a lower value of the quartile group, 8 upon 3, where 8 is the class height, 3 is the frequency of this class interval or this quartile group. 12.75 is the same factor which we obtained 3 upon 4 into 17 by doing this calculation, and then minus 10. 10 was the cumulative frequency preceding this quartile group. And once when we do these calculations, we get a value which is 140.83. So this is our quartile 3 value. A similar set of calculations can be done for the percentiles and deciles. So let's take a quick example, and this was also asked in the question. So the 15th percentile, how can we find the 15th percentile? So 15th percentile P15 can be found using 15 upon 100 into 17, which gives the 15th percentile location, which is 2.55. So that means the 2.55th location has to be located. We have to find the percentile group for this location. So for that purpose, we move back to our class interval table, and this is our class interval table. And the 2.55 is located where? We can see this thing that till the fourth value of our data set, we are still in the first class interval. So that means 2.55 would be located definitely in this first class interval. So this is our percentile group, which has a frequency of 4, which has basically a cumulative frequency of 0 because there's nothing present before it, and the class boundary value, the lower value of the class boundary is 117.5, and this class also uses a class height of 8. So let's move on to the calculations, and we see this thing that the 15th percentile value can be found using these, put by substituting these values over here, which is 117.5 for the lower value of the percentile group class boundary. 8 upon 4, 8 is the class height, 4 is the frequency of the percentile group. 2.55 was the similar factor that we obtained using 15 upon 100 into 17, and then minus 0 because there is no other frequency previous to it or preceding it. Doing these calculations, we get a value which is 122.6, and this comes out to be the 15th percentile value. Next, let's take an example of that of a decile as well. So we have basically the location of the decile, which is if you want to find the eighth decile, so this is 8 upon 10 into 17, right? And this factor comes out to be 13.6. So that means 13.6 is the location of our decile, and this decile and the group which will be containing this 13.6 location value will be called the decile group, the required decile group. So what is the required decile group? Let's see this thing. So 13.6 is located, is basically located. Let's confirm that we have to find 13.6, the 8 decile. So just let's confirm this thing. Yes, 13.6. So moving back to our class interval summarized table, we have to find the 13.6. So we can see that till 13th value of the data set, we are in the third class interval, and till 15th value, we are in the fourth class interval. Our value is 13.6, which basically means that this can be found in this fourth class interval. That means this is our required decile group. That means that this decile group has a lower class boundary value, which is 141.5, a frequency of 2, a class height of 8, and the cumulative frequency preceding this decile group is 13. So substituting these values over here, we get the required decile value, and we get it like 141.5 plus 8 upon 2 into 13.6 minus 13, and this value comes out to be 143.9. So this is the 8th decile value. So I hope this is understandable, that how we find the quartiles, the percentiles, and deciles. Now, a very important parameter, as we all know about the data set, is also the mean value, the average value. But for the average value, we have to do a little bit working. And the working is this, that if you can recall this thing, in this class interval table, the last column shows the class marks. The class marks are the middle values of each class, and they are the representative of these class. So what actually we are doing by finding these class marks is this, that we suppose that our data set is represented by a random variable x. This x contains all the class mark values. There's class mark corresponding to every class. That is, the ith class have a class mark xi. Like class 1 will have a class mark x1, small x1. Class 2 will have a class mark small x2, and so on. So for our example, we can have this data set something like this, that x equals to x1, x2, x3, x4, x5. Since we have 5 classes, so that means we have 5 class marks, and this will correspond to this data set. X1, the first class mark was 121.5, which we can see from the data set, summarized class interval data set. 129.5 is the second class mark value. 137.5 is the third class mark value. 145.5 is the fourth class mark value. And 153.5 is the fifth class mark value. So this X, the new data set, comes out to be something like this. And we will now use the mean value formula to find this, the average of this data set. If you can recall this thing, then we learned from the ungrouped data statistics that the mean given by expected value of x, or the Greek symbol mu, can easily be determined by using the sum of the products of the probabilities of each value in the data set multiplied by the value itself, and this would be summed to the whole data set. Now, in our data set, we have basically the data set that we will be using is the class mark data set, or the which has basically the 5 values which are equivalent to 5 groups that we have. So we sum it from 1 to small n, where small n is indicating the number of groups or the number of classes. And then when we sum this product, we get the average value. This is equivalent to say this thing, that since probability is basically frequency of each class divided by the total frequencies, so we can replace this probability with frequency upon n factor as well, and the same result can be obtained. So the calculations of this mean value, let's first see this thing, then we'll proceed to the other statistics. So over here we can see that the mean value of x can be found using this equation. 4 upon 17 is probability for the first class mark and the value of the class mark, then 6 upon 17 is the probability of the second class mark, and then multiplied by this class mark and so on till we get a value which is 133.73. These frequencies are the same that we had seen in this class interval table over here, like 4 upon 17, 6 upon 17, 3 by 17, 2 by 17, 2 by 17 for the respective classes and for the respective class marks as well, right? So that's how we find this mean value. Another very important parameter related to mean is the middle value of the data set. Remember this thing, recall this thing from the ungrouped data statistics, that the middle value is the same as the quartile 2 value, same as the P50 value, same as the D5 value. And since we have already found the quartile 2 value, so the middle value can also be written along with the mean, and this is the same as the Q2 value. So the Q2 value that we got is the same as the middle value or the median of the data set. Now, lastly, we have basically the variances or the standard deviations, which are the error squares and errors respectively for the mean. Now, if you can recall this thing again, then when we were doing the variance calculations for the ungrouped data statistics, we used this equation, that probability of each value in the data set multiplied by the difference square of the value with the mean value, and this was summed over the whole data set. Now remember this thing, that for the calculations of mean, for the calculations of variances, for the calculation of standard deviations, we use the data set defined by the class mark values, and over here we have total number of groups. So the summation would be done till the total number of groups, that is still small n value, and again this probability can be replaced with frequency upon n factor, and we'll get the variance. Once obtaining the variance, we'll take the square root of it and we'll get the standard deviation. So let's see how this calculation is performed. We perform this calculation in this way, that sigma square, which is the symbol for the variance, is probability of the class mark value multiplied by the class mark value minus the mean and the square of it. And this thing is done for all the class mark values. Probability of the class mark multiplied by the class mark value minus mean value and then taking square of it. And then when this is whole summed up, we get a value which is 106.2764. This is the variance or the error square for the mean. Taking the square root of it, we get the standard deviation or the error of the mean, which is 10.3090. Now, lastly, how we basically use these variances or standard deviations for along with the mean. We basically use this thing for finding the predicted outcome. Remember that the predicted outcome is always equal to statistical model plus minus errors of the model. Now, the statistical model that we have used for the prediction over here is the mean value model, and the error of the mean value model is called the standard deviation given by sigma and mu values respectively. That is, for mean we use the mu, and for standard deviation we use the sigma. Plugging in the values of mean and standard deviations over here, that is 123.73 for the mean, which we got earlier, and 10.3090 for the standard deviation, and then summing and finding the difference, we get the two limits of this interval, that is 123.421, which is obtained by subtracting 10.3090 from 123.73, or subtracting sigma from mean, and the upper limit, which is obtained by summing 123.73 with 10.3090, or summing mu plus sigma, or doing the mu plus sigma factor. So that comes out to be 144.039. So what do we mean by it? We mean that our estimate or our prediction for the data set X, our prediction for the X value, our prediction for the outcome is varying from 123.421 to 144.039. So what we mean further, I mean more explicitly, we mean this thing, that if this experiment is repeated again or in future, we can expect to get a value somewhere in between 123.421 to 144.039. And that's how we do the analysis for the class interval summarized table. One thing that was remaining is the range, and range actually we had calculated earlier, so it is the same thing as the difference between the maximum value of the data set with the minimum value of the data set. Our maximum was 154 and minimum was 118. The difference of the two gives value which is 36. So that's how we have calculated all these. We have done the calculations for all these statistical parameters. Just to recall you this thing, that our question was this, that we basically had to find all these values of range, quartiles, 15 percentile, 8 decile, middle value of the data set, frequency distribution of X, which is shown in the table, mean value, errors of the mean, and the predicted outcome. And we have done all these calculations over here to see how we perform the analysis for a group data statistics. And this group data statistics included the class interval data set summarization. I hope this is understandable to everybody. If still you have any questions, any comments, sorry, if you have any questions or any confusions, you can write down in the comment section, and I will get back to you to respond you back for your queries. Thank you very much, and stay